sure you guys are seeing the bio on the table. My name is Gary Brooks. I am Program Director for I-9 Sports, Delaware and Pennsylvania at current point. I'll give you a little bit of history about where I started. Just so you guys know, anytime I speak, it's totally interactive. All right, so if you have questions during the course of this presentation, and you can definitely put your hand up, ask, and we'll get into a group discussion about it. Okay. From inner city Philadelphia, Southwest Philadelphia. Went to Parkway High School. Come from humble beginnings, like a lot of us. After Parkway High School, I went to UNC Charlotte, where I studied business management and sports science. Played at both levels, but after college, the on-court side of it was done. All right, so I'm here today to discuss. You know, first of all, before we get any further, how many of you guys are athletes? Raise your hand if you're an athlete. All right, so I'm here today to discuss what happens when the ball stops bouncing, the passes stop coming, you can't hit the softball anymore. You know, I know a lot of guys, when you get to the college level, you dedicated your life into being a good athlete from the time you were 12, 13, and you're looking for what comes next. 85% of professionals in the sports world are behind the scenes, all right? My life at this point is dedicated to getting guys to the level you guys are at now, all right? So, you know, I work with the younger athletes, I train them up, try to get them to school. I also represent kids in NIL deals and things like that. So, like I said, just, you know, to get started, we're going to talk about the management side, what it means to still be in the sport, still, you know, have your feet grounded in the thing you love, and you know, when it stops, when it's not available to you anymore as a sport itself. Okay, all right. So, like I said, after I finished playing basketball, I did a little tour in the music business. I won't get too much into that, but traveled the world a little bit. But when I came back home, I started to have a family. I got married, had a family. Needed to be settled with my kids, so I had to figure out what to do and what business to start in the field I love. So I bought a I-9 Sports franchise in the state of Delaware. Sold it in 2019. Stayed on as program director. Sold it because I-9 Sports is actually more recreation. Right? If you've ever seen the flyers or anything, it's for the younger kids. They stop at age 13, 14, and it's more recreation. When I started the AAU program, it was to use my talents in training and cultivating kids who actually have next level talent. All right, so when I sold in 2019, I started the Philly Pride 302 AAU program, which plays on the major circuit, gets kids from high school to college level, and kind of meets recruiting with talent. All right. I'm here to tell you that the management side of sports and youth sports is awesome. It's awesome. When you go from the single person gratification of my achievements, how I finish and start in the world of sports, and what I can achieve. Once that part leaves you, you get into management, you get into helping others, you get into growing others' careers and personalities and cultivating their dreams. It actually becomes a little more fulfilling than the personal part. I know you guys are at a certain stage right now where personal gratification is where you're at, okay? So you're trying to figure out what I can do in this sport, how I can get there, how I can translate from college to the next level. Is there any athlete in here that wants to play their sport at the next level? What do you play?
Play football.
Football, all right, so you're looking to get to the ultimate level?
Yes, sir.
All right, okay. Anybody else?
Track and field.
We talked a little bit about track and field.
Football.
And football, okay. All right, so the reality of playing at the next level once you get to college, first of all, let me give you a round of applause because you're part of the elite already, all right? In this country, 3% of high school athletes play collegiate sports, 3%, all right? There's in basketball alone, there's 550,000 high school athletes. There's 30-something thousand NCAA athletes. Okay, so you get to that level, you're already part of the elite, one of the best players in the country. All right, so keep that in mind and pat yourself on the back for that achievement. But once you get past that level, to rise to that 1% of collegiate athletes that get to the pro level, you know, it's a tough task. And it's just not, it doesn't happen for everybody, all right? You can work as hard as you can, do everything right, and maybe sometimes it doesn't work out, and I'm here to tell you that you can land on your feet from there, all right? Sports doesn't stop when you stop playing. If you love the sport, like I said, you can get into it in so many different ways. I9 Sports allowed me to bring the business, support family, bring the business of sports together with my love for it, all right? In the business of sports, you need to keep certain things in perspective. Like, it's not just about talent and achievement, it's more about making sure your bottom lines are correct and knowing how to balance books, knowing how to do the things that you're learning today in class, in these years in class. Anybody in here in business management? All right. Sports science? All right, so does anybody in here plan on being in sports management or training or anything after college? So I got about 4 hands here, okay. All right, so like I said, the reality of sports after college, it becomes more of a business related thing. You know, it's not about how many hours you put in the gym or, you know, how well you hit a jump shot or how fast you run the 4.4 or anything like that. Once you get out of school, it becomes about where your passion lies and how do you make your bottom line meet your passion. All right, how do you make your bottom line meet your passion so you can still, you know, be involved in your sport, be involved in your field, and raise family, feed family. If it's not family yet, I don't get a little ahead of the college age, but take care of yourself financially. All right, all right. Also, I train high-level athletes to get from high school to college level, and that in itself is about the work you put in. We spent a lot of, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Is it the work you put in on the field or off the field that matters most?
There's no, they go together. There's no discrepancy there. There's no, you know, you got to do 80% field work and everything goes together. If you want to be a high-level athlete, if you want to be a pro athlete, if you want to be a collegiate athlete, you can't do one without the other, right? So, you know, that work is all one body of work, all right? So there's no either or. Oh, yeah. There's no either or in character, there's no either or in the classroom, there's no either or in terms of work you put in the gym or on the field. Am I missing anybody in the gyms, fields? Am I missing anybody on the golf course? I don't know what sports you guys play, but that work and that character has to coincide and exist at all times when you're off the court. How you represent yourself on your social media, what you're putting in the world is what comes back to you. Okay. All of you guys on social. Another question?
Yeah, another question. So I know you already explained that, like, you know, supporting your family is like a good benefit of being in sports management, but could you like name some more benefits of being in sports management?
Well, the benefits of being in sports management depends on what your goals are in life. Mm-hmm. So, like I said, for me, I never wanted to leave. I love basketball. All right. Yeah. I just had a knee replacement. I've had 5 knee surgeries. Sports is hard on your body, right? Yeah. So there comes a time when you just have to realize, like, well, I don't care how many jump shots I hit at the line, like that's not going to feed your family, right? Mm-hmm. So, you know, for me and for anybody else that wants to stay involved in a sport and still be able to give back to the sport and be an important cog in the sport, you have to now, when it's not your turn to play that sport, you have to now approach it from a business aspect. Yeah. You have to now approach it, whether it means becoming a personal trainer to the players, or, you know, physical therapist or any, agent, like I said, an NIL representative, any of that stuff, right? You have to now dedicate your mind to preparing yourself to be the proper person for those athletes coming, all right? If any one of you guys were to come to me and say, hey, I need an agent for that, if I'm not prepared to be that, if I don't know what an agent does or how to, read over contracts, how to negotiate contracts, how to, manage money, what you should get for your talent level. Like there's so many layers to being prepared to be in management, being the different layers of management for sports that, it starts here. You have to prepare yourself to be the proper person for those athletes. All right?
Okay. I got another question, right? Mm-hmm. So, like, what is the most challenging area of sports management? Like this is like where most of the people who they say they want to be in sports management, these are the people that once they hit this barrier right here, 9 times out of 10 they're gonna quit. That you yourself, you push through, you persevere through.
It's a great question. And I can tell you that the most challenging aspect of being successful in sports management is talent recruiting. Mm-hmm. If you want to be an agent, you want to be an NIL representative, you want to be an owner, you want to be anything of that sort. You want to own an AAU program, you want to own anything where you need athletes to come represent your brand. You have to have a reputation that attracts athletes. Yeah. And then once you attract the athletes, you have to have a process that keeps athletes. All right? And what I mean by that is, you guys also, some of you guys, I don't know if you dealt with people like me, in high school or coming up, or you're looking to deal with people like me moving forward, but people can see through people, right? People, they want you to be genuine, they want you to have a process that works, and they want you to have a process that's proven, all right? Sometimes when you're just starting out, it's hard to be proven, right? You don't have 5 clients that have been to that level, and you can say, hey, look what I did for them. But from that point, if you're just starting out, then this is where this is important, because you need to be able to provide the proper documentation and say, hey, I know what I'm doing. I've studied for this, I'm prepared for this, I'm here for you, we're gonna grow together. So, there's the representation side. Now, if you're starting your own business, as I did, I bought a franchise, which makes it a little bit different. All right, starting your own business from scratch is a little harder than buying a franchise. Starting your own business from scratch, you have to build your customer base and name representation yourself. You buy a franchise, what you're actually paying for is the actual name. And for instance, if you buy McDonald's, you just put it on the corner, the golden arches go up, and everybody's coming, right? But what's your name? Martinez. You start Martinez hamburgers and fries, and you put it on the corner, and there's a McDonald's on the other corner, everybody's not coming, right? Martinez hamburgers and fries has to build their own reputation, all right? So starting a franchise, while it's a little more costly, I had a little bit of money to play with when I came out of certain other business ventures, but it's a little more costly, but it's a little bit easier. You pay more in the long run. It's also a little more intricate to run. Home offices for those franchises, they have a brand to protect, so they're going to tell you what rules you can, in other words, if you do start a McDonald's, you can't be in there selling, Big Macs with one beef patty. You know what I mean? So you have rules and things to apply to, and you have to make numbers. Franchises take royalties. Numbers are important in any business. Your bottom line, you have to make your bottom line if you want to stay in business. All right, so.
Has there ever been a time where you wasn't able to meet your bottom line and it drove you to push further?
Myself, I built a very my reputation in the tri-state area helped me a lot. All right, so I want to give you an answer that's honest and that kind of fits for everybody here. I didn't have issues with my bottom lines because I put out feelers to my network that said, hey, I'm starting a youth sports franchise and I got a lot of kids, right? As I said, I9 Sports was and is based on a lot younger age group, and it's a recreational league. Like if you have a 5-year-old brother, a 6-year-old brother that wants to start playing basketball, you go online, you sign him up for I9, he gets put on a team. You don't know who the coach is, it's a parent, it's a volunteer parent. He goes there, he plays basketball, he develops a love. It's not like AAU where parents are saying, hey, can you get my kid to college? Who's coaching your team? Does he know what he's doing? So there's a different reputation factor there, right? But I will say this, no matter what you do, in those ups and downs, peaks and valleys, as the numbers go up and down, if you're in business and in franchise, you still have the same bills to pay. You still have the same royalties to meet monthly. So the grind does get a little different. In our network, we do national meetings, and we talk to the other franchise owners. Some of them have different challenges. Their franchise is not doing well. They still open their bank account, and royalties are coming out from home office. Like they're still taking their money. Yeah. Right. So to answer your question, yeah, there will be ups and downs, and there is things you have to fight through. In order to keep away from not succumbing to up and downs, it's very important in business that your marketing is correct. All right. So if people don't know you're there, we'll go back to Martinez Burgers. They're the best burger in the city. But if nobody ever heard of them or know he's there, nobody's coming to buy it. All right? So marketing in business is ultra important. All right? Marketing in personal is ultra important. You guys are from a generation where people are making millions of dollars just marketing themselves, doing who knows what. Yeah. I can be honest, I'm from the generation before you guys, and sometimes it amazes me. I look at these guys online, they're millionaires, and they're like, what do you do? I just put up content. I just go to the mall and prank people or crazy stuff like that, right? So marketing is the #1 most important part of being successful in any business. All right? Anybody else have any questions? You got any more questions?
They loading. They loading.
They
loading.
They loading?
Yeah,
Okay.
they loading.
Anybody else have any questions? All right. Where did I leave off at?
Still being active in sports. In fact, like after an athlete decides, you know what, I don't want to take it to the ultimate level, but I still want to keep my skin in the game, you know what I'm saying? I still got skin in the game, I still love the game, and I don't want to like leave it completely. There's still an option of in sports management, you know what I'm saying, being able to be on the business side of sports,
And
which a lot of people don't talk about. So that's what you're talking about.
Well, sports is only viewed as one thing: accomplished athletes. And I'm here to tell you guys, 85% of sports success happens behind the scenes. Even accomplished athletes, 85%, and I mean that wholeheartedly. Those accomplished athletes and the things you see on television, and even the big dance and the March Madness coming up and all that stuff, like that's the finished product of 85% of the work being done behind the scenes, from the time those players were young, to the coaches at the D1 schools that recruited them, to the trainers that trained them, to everything that goes into that. That part I think we've established, right? The part.
Can you get in detail a little bit on some of the things that may happen behind the scenes?
A little bit, I couldn't hear you.
Yeah, can you get a little bit more detail on some of the things that happens behind the scenes that people could operate in?
Right, okay, so behind the scenes, we asked us, can we be a little more detailed on some of the things that happens behind the scenes to create that 15% that we see in front of the cameras. Like I said, it starts from a very, very, very young age. Most athletes that are on that track or trajectory to be on television at some point in their life, which means play at a high-level school, play at a school period, or get to a pro level, whether it be pro here, pro over the water. They start at a very young age. That trajectory is recognized at a very young age. Once it starts, it becomes parents' job to put them in the right place and with the right people to nurture that. all right? So behind the scenes starts there, right, in the youth sports. It starts with their trainers. It starts with their counselors and their tutors, okay? As much as important for an athlete to be good and fine-tuned on court, field, or on the mats, or in the boxing ring, or wherever it is, it's also very important for an athlete to be fine-tuned emotionally. The highs and lows of athletics are crazy. You can go from, my guy just told me he missed nationals by 2 inches.
Yeah.
You can go from being at the top of your emotional state to one game, one play, one event later, not knowing what hit you. Especially in today's day and age where one wrong move can go viral, right? And then everybody's looking at you like you're crazy. When just yesterday you were the hero on campus, all right? So it's very important that we are fine-tuned emotionally, we're fine-tuned in the classroom, and we're fine-tuned in our sport, all right? So that's the first thing. Like there's in our gym that we practice our AAU, we have a mental health counselor in the gym, all right? So there's mental health, there's physical health, there's like I said, physical training, there's doctors that work in nothing but athletics, there's and then there's the actual sports trainers. Behind the scenes, once you get to a pro level, usually just means representation and someone to manage your public image. Your public image. So, you know, it's always very important, especially at this level too, at the college level, you know, you really have to be careful what you put out there in the world. And everybody understand that. Like you really have to, your social media is the most powerful tool in the world right now. As well as it can make millionaires, it can also take you out of your position, all right? So you really have to be careful what you put out there in the world. And like I said, this is not just about athletes, this is about people. You know, you guys are here, you know, you're gonna finish here with a degree, maybe a master's, maybe a bachelor's, maybe, well, hopefully a bachelor's or a master's, and you're gonna go for a certain interview. All of this stuff, it matters. You know, they're gonna look at your social media as well. They say they don't, but if it's a high-level position, they do. And when they go in there and they see you know, doing something that doesn't represent their company, right, they're just gonna tell you we're moving on to the next candidate. They're not gonna tell you why. All right, so some of the things that happen behind the scenes in business management, you know, like I said, is you just have to be, ready and prepared. And that's what I mean, prepare yourself at all times to accept whatever you think you deserve. All right, so if you worked hard to go through 4 years of school, 6 years of school, whatever it took you, you're a whiz kid, you got to a master's in 3 years, 4 years. Well, if you worked hard to prepare to accept those blessings, then don't let you know any one thing be the thing that derails you. All right, prepare yourself for that success. Also, in terms of being behind the scenes, when it comes to sports, as you were talking about, young fella, the most important part of sports happens in your daily living. Once you get out of college, you want to get to that pro level, you have to live a certain way, eat a certain way, diet a certain way, carry yourself a certain way. You have to train a certain amount of hours a day. You have to be, you know, totally immersed in that sport. And in being totally immersed in that sport, you can only focus on that sport, which means your network has to focus on all the other things. Creating a good network is uber important there, okay? So yeah, behind the scenes, to answer your question, in that network, you should have management, you should have, you know, dietary, you should have trainers, you should have therapy, you should have all the things that make you well-rounded as a player and as a businessman.
Okay.
Any other questions?
No question about, so through your AAU, you said you coached for Philadelphia Pride, you said?
I'm the director and I coached at 17 years.
Has there been any athletes that went through your AAU and now in the NBA?
In the NBA, I'm only 5 years old. Philly Pride National,
Oh, okay.
Philly Pride as a program that DeAndre Hunter and a couple other ones. DeAndre's the latest. You know, he plays for the Cavs now. Just got traded from Atlanta. The Delaware branch is 5 years old. We have numerous D1 players, but no NBA guy yet. We'll see how that works out. All right. Any other questions?
So you talked about fostering the right environment for your people under management, your clients under management. What is a big mental health factor that most of your boys have to have?
The mental health side. So let me be very clear about this. And you guys may be able to relate to this probably even a little more than the younger ones. Mental health comes in a lot of different ways, a lot of different forms, but it's the part that needs the most counseling for young athletes, young entrepreneurs, young striving, successful individuals usually comes from parental pressure. So we try to keep our athletes grounded in the fact that, you know, your mom, your dad, the people who raise you, the people who nurture you, they want the best for you. So the pressure they apply has to turn you into a diamond and not crush you, okay? They're going to apply it. I applied it to myself. They're going to apply it. If it gets to the point where it's overbearing, you feel like you're not handling it well, you know, that's where you get to see a lot of counselors, maybe they talk to them, you know, parents a little bit in group sessions, but to answer your question, the mental health issue that we see the most in young athletes has to do with that pressure. Now, then there comes a level where you reach where the pressure goes from internal, inside your house, to external. Once it becomes external, that's a whole different world of issue. Like, it's, you know, once you have 15, 16 colleges knocking at your door and calling you daily, and people wondering what decision you're gonna make, and like I said, everything you put on social media, you can't say the wrong word, or it's scrutinized, or, you know, that becomes, now I can't be a kid anymore. Now I can't be a young adult anymore. Right, so mental health is not just what people think it is. It's not just, hey, you know, this kid's walking around campus talking to himself, he's crazy. That's not what mental health means. Mental health has a lot to do with just being grounded and peaceful in your decision, and understanding that your travel and your trajectory is yours to control. All right, it's also yours to deal with at the end of the day. Any questions on that?
That's deep.
Have you seen a lot of athletes that were younger get crushed by that spirit of like their parents trying to make them, trying to add too much pressure on them?
So, what he asked, for you guys that maybe didn't hear, have I seen a lot of young athletes get crushed by that pressure? So the answer to that is a little weighted, because it depends on what your definition of crushed is.
Yeah.
I've seen plenty of athletes at age 15 say, I don't want to play this anymore. That's it, I'm done. I'm tired of hearing it. Okay, if that's your definition of crushed, then the answer is yes. I'm a firm believer that if they make that decision at 15 or 16, that's fine. Athletics is a small percentage, a very, very small percentage of why you'll be successful in life. I tell kids all the time, team sports at a youth age is mainly to teach you how to live certain ways, how to deal with adversity, how to build network and camaraderie, how to compete without boiling over, how to be competitive with the next person for a job without hating the next person. When you play team sports, you're going to lose, you're going to shake hands afterwards, right?
Yeah.
You're going to win, you're going to shake hands afterwards. When you play team sports, you're going to be happy. Martinez Hamburgers, he's going to be happy when he makes a shot, not just when you make a shot, right? So, you know, there's a lot of mental mental hurdle that team sports and being a young athlete allows you to conquer, rather than just the pressure of success. All right, so I don't want you guys to, get like it's not all or nothing. The all comes from outside of the arena of sports. All right. Any other questions?
Do you feel like a player could also be a sports manager at the same time? He could manage others.
While he's playing?
Yeah, while he's playing.
That's a tough one.
That's a tough one.
That's a tough one. I don't know. I'm not saying it's out of the realm of possibility. I don't know that I've seen players manage their own careers. That happens all the time. But to manage others' careers while you're playing, it's a little tough.
It's like leading by example.
Right. You can lead by example, but yeah, that's tough. I don't know if I've seen it.
Yeah.
Not saying you can't do it. Maybe you'll be the first.
Yeah. I see.
What are some of the best ages you think a child should start sports? Because some people, they're tough at 5, but they kind of blow out like later on when they're like 15. And then some people start late and it's too late. So like, when do you think some of the best years somebody could start a sport?
So his question was, what are the best years to start at sports? Once again, this is a loaded question. Depends on what your goals are in sports. Secondly, everybody's path is different.
Yeah.
Everybody walks a different path. I'll give you guys a prime example. Like I said, most of my examples are going to be based in basketball. I'm a basketball guy. But they also carry over to other sports. Does anybody here know when Joel Embiid started playing basketball?
High school?
Like 16. He grew 7 inches. They was like, you should play. Soccer player. Grew 7 inches. Like, you should play. He's got good footwork, good coordination. Can he play soccer? Sure, I'll play. Lonzo at Kansas. That's not a normal story, but it's a story. Right? My point is, everybody's path to what they want is different. You have kids that start, they have basketball dads or basketball parents, and they start in the gym at age 5, and maybe peak at age 12, 13, and never get there, even though they started early. Like, it's just a lot of things that have to come together, at the right time in the right place for, things to happen a certain way. So, where you start at, I'm under the belief that the earlier is better for young athletes, as long as they're being taught and brought up the right way. As long as you're not in the gym, in the gym with them at age 5 or on the field with them at age 5, cussing them out every day and telling them how bad they are. Like, if you start earlier, I'm of the belief it's better, but we've seen it in all different forms. So, on the franchise, like I said, it's pretty awesome to be in ownership of anything. It's pretty awesome to be in ownership of anything. There's a short supply of that in the world. There's a lot of thought process and talk process in this country that, the 40 hours a week for 40 years will get you to retirement, and that's what we should do. That's not wrong. It's not wrong. I'm not saying one way is better than the other, but I will say this: ownership is in there's not enough ownership in the world. So owning a franchise is pretty awesome. Owning anything is pretty awesome, but it takes a lot of work in detail. All right, it takes a lot of work in detail, and in that work in detail, you have to prepare yourself properly. You guys here, I'm sitting here talking to what are going to be the future leaders, owners, position holders. Just so you guys know, I'm 50. I'll be 51 in a couple weeks. All right. I think the average person here is probably 20, right? In 20 years, I'll be totally out of the workforce. You guys will be 40 and running. What's next? From 20 to 35, you're trying to figure it out. Most of you guys, you get out, you get a good job, you'll start at a certain place. You'll get to 35 before you're really in position to say, I'm calling the shots, take the right trajectory. But you guys are future workforce, future creators, future shapers and pointers of the world. And I say that because you're in here. You're not out there. You're at Lincoln University. You're at University of Higher Learning, and you're preparing yourself. So what I mean is prepare yourself for what you feel you deserve. Does everybody understand that?
Yeah.
Prepare yourself for what you feel you deserve. If you don't feel you deserve anything, you won't prepare yourself for anything. The work doesn't start later, it starts now. You can still have fun. You can still have fun. But when it's time to go to that interview, time to go to that, that place where you're saying, you know what, I'm gonna be an agent. I'm gonna be in management. Do you have the proper preparation to get that job, to draw those athletes, to say, I got it under control? All right. Anybody else have any questions?
I know you speak on NILs.
NIL. Yeah. So, I'm sorry, before we get to NIL, go ahead.
I was gonna ask you, I know you watch a lot of basketball.
Yep.
LeBron and MJ.
Right. And I'm old. I watched every bit of MJ.
That's good.
But I'm not gonna get into, we could be here all day with that debate. I can see somebody gonna beat me up in the hallway or something. It's cool,
That's
but,
gangster, LeBron.
but this guy's been 20 years at the top of the league, so MJ, if you have an MJ as your GOAT, then I'm not mad at you either. He deserves to be there in the conversation along with Kareem. But if you have to ask me, to not been a better all-around basketball player. That's a little off topic. So we're going to NIL? All right. So name, image, and likeness, NIL. Does anybody here have any experience in NIL? All right. Okay. So name, image, and likeness, just so you guys understand, it really just means being compensated for who you are and what you bring to in terms of notoriety and public awareness. All right. So in the college format, from high school to college, there are set standards for NIL for athletes. They change per school, per athlete, per level, per stature. But the baseline standards are set. How much a player should get at this level for this type of athlete, from this school. But that doesn't mean your NIL standards for yourself cannot be higher than what a school allows you. So NIL just means name, image, and likeness. All right. So if you become, we talked about this earlier, how people are becoming more popular online, right? They're cashing out on just going viral and doing certain things online. That is them cashing out on their name, image, and likeness. So from that point on, once you become popular and you develop a following and everybody knows your face, you put your name and your image or your likeness on anything and they should pay you for it, right? Because your brand now brings money to that person. So if a person owns a car dealership and they want to, what's your name again? And Alonzo is, the number one most famous basketball player in the HBCU circuit. And the local Lincoln has his name all over the billboards and all that stuff. And the car dealer down the street says, hey, we want to put you on a commercial, or we want to put you on a billboard, or a flyer. Anything that simple. They have to pay you for your name, your image, and your likeness. There was a time when collegiate athletes weren't allowed to get paid by school for any of this stuff, or cash in on this stuff. It was a violation. Those days have passed. Collegiate athletes can get paid now, so it's become kind of a every man for yourself game. You have to get yourself some representation, so you don't get jerked around. Listen, just so you guys understand this, everything's a business. Everything's a business. What I mean by that is, we all like to believe that when we go somewhere, we're playing for a team or playing for a university, or it's a family atmosphere. We all love each other's teammates, and we do. Most of us that have ever played on a team love our teammates, right? But the university is a business at the level. When you leave, there'll be another collegiate athlete come in. The university is a business at the level, all right? Your coaches will love you. Sam will love you. Tane will love you. But when you leave, there'll be another collegiate athlete come in.
Dang.
All right, so you approach your business as business in any walk of life. What I mean by that is, get yourself some representation if you're in that field. If you find a way to make yourself marketable, get yourself some representation, and understand that the business side of it should be taken care of as such. So if you have a specific question about NIL?
No, I just want to, we have some sports players in here,
So,
and people that actually want to own a gymnasium and things like that.
right, so if you want to get into the NIL management side, anything all right? Okay. So if you want to get into the NIL management or representation side, it's pretty simple. You just need to know, one, you need to have a Rolodex so you can talk to the ADs at schools. Secondly, you just need to know what the value is of any athlete, what they deserve, and when you're getting them, you know, their value or above market value. You can never get an athlete below market value. That's all. It's a very, very, very new concept. I was at an NIL conference in Vegas last summer, where it was a national conference where ADs from all the major schools were there, and representation from the NBA level down to high school level was there, and you know, it was just it was a 3-day conference to try to figure it out. ADs from the school were mad. We're losing control. You know, I tell a kid this year he's gonna get this, and then next year, you know, he has a good season, he wants to win. Then the kids transfer because somebody's offering him more, and that's the place we're at now. So the NCAA is trying to figure out how to kind of leverage, you know, getting the collective under control. The collective are the people that pay your NIL tabs, but getting the collective under control to the point where they can have some measure of control over the players. But right now, players are ultra powerful in the NIL stage. So it's just one of those things. If you want to get into,
So it's not tampering talking to another team before you like go to another one?
so the NCAA
Cause say if you want a team already, you're not supposed to be talking to other coaches. It's literally tampering.
no, you can't talk to other coaches. No, like, and especially season's over, you have to actually put yourself in the portal before you start talking to other coaches. All right? Once you get in the portal, you can talk to whoever you want to talk to. The problem with getting in the portal is you piss your own coach off, you might not get back. Okay, because they don't take you.
Well, why exactly is it like that? Like, that you can't talk to any other coaches? Like, why is that? Why the tampering rule? Like, why exactly can you not talk to any other coaches until you enter the portal?
Why?
Yeah, like, what's the purpose behind it?
I think that just becomes messy, man. Like that's a rule that's been years. I don't know that I can give you the exact why they put that rule in place, but I know as a coach, you know, I don't want after the game, you know, a coach shaking hand like, hey, man, you should come play with me. Like, let's not do that. Okay. So.
It'd be the silent indicators.
Huh?
It'd be the silent indicators.
Yeah, I mean.
You gotta do all that. It'd be like the little handshakes.
Mm-hmm. Listen, human nature is human nature. You know, there's going to be, you know, if a coach really wants to get to a kid, they figure out how to get there. They can't do it themselves. So. But yeah, you're not supposed to talk to other opposing coaches while you're still on roster. So you have to actually put yourself in portal before you can start doing that. And coaches are probably not going to violate that rule. Understand that coaching is a very delicate job. I tell kids all the time, regardless of what you think, coaches are feeding their family based on your performance. All right, based on how. Sounds a little rough, right? Right. But you know, the truth in the matter is, A lot of kids, and this is at the high school level, a lot of kids, you know, they come to us as representation and the guys who are responsible for helping them get to school, and there's a lot of questions of why. Well, how come, you know, said player went to LaSalle or St. Joe's and I'm only getting recruited by Gordy Beacom?
What is it?
Listen, you are what your demand says you are. We can push your video out to LaSalle and St. Joe's, but if they don't decide to take you, you have to understand, and this goes back to what I was saying, a coach has to believe in your talent, your personality, and your ability to represent the uniform of the school. You recruit a kid that goes on school, you may be the most talented. You recruit a kid that goes on campus and does something absolutely crazy. Division I jobs are, I think, average $200,000 and something annually. Average. Might be a little bit more than that.
I'll get one of those.
So you recruit a kid that goes on campus and does something crazy. How do you explain to your wife and your 5-year-old that $200,000 went out the door because so-and-so came on campus and stole 10 things out the computer lab? You know what I'm saying? I just made that up, but I've seen some crazy stuff, just so you guys know. All right, so, you know, just understanding that coaches are coaching, you know, and I say that, you know, since it sounds crazy, your performance is you know, is basically their livelihood. You know, if you have, it's just like anything else I said, you build a reputation for being great, then you give yourself more leeway as a coach. You build a reputation as a player for being great. And I don't mean great on a court field or whatever, I mean great as a person, great all around, great as an athlete, great as a humanitarian, great as a, you know, an emotional rock. You're the guy that, you know, I'm a leader on the court, on the field, but also when they get ready to do something crazy, I'm like, no, we're not doing that. You know, so you build that kind of cachet and you get a little more leeway and you give your coaching staff a little more leeway. That also allows you to be a lot more valuable in that NIL field.
I had a question about athletic administration. So I'm trying to become an athletic director. What advice would you give for that?
Athletic director?
Yeah.
It's a very good, it's an awesome position with a lot of control over a lot of things. I would just say you have to get your degrees in order, right? Because most schools won't hire an athletic director that does not have their paperwork in order. If you have your paperwork in order and history in sports, a knowledge of the game, you know, you may not start off with the job you want in that field, but you may, you know, like say you want to be athletic director at Lincoln U. You know, you may not start off there. You may start off at the high school, the local high school athletic director, or, you know, how it works, but you get those titles under your belt, you build your resume. And that's why I said, you know, earlier, 35 to 40 is where most people get to those positions where they start being able to point and shape things. But you have to put yourself in position and accept that. And that's what we're talking about. Everybody good here?
Yeah, that was good. That was great. You really covered a lot of points.
All right. Well, listen, I'm glad to have the opportunity to come out and talk to you guys, man. Like I said, I started from humble beginnings. This is an awesome room. I will have Sam and Tane will have my contacts if you guys, anybody needs to talk to me on a more personal level about something specific that they want to do. If there's any way I can point you in the right direction and connection I can make for you. Internships. That's interesting. We do have an intern program at I-9 that we just started, and I also have, I-9 probably has more internship availability right now, but I also have internship availability at the Philly Pride 302 program. So we can definitely talk about that. I'll get something that you can post and we'll get some applicants in, okay? Just so you know, the I-9 Sports Internship, like I said, we'll be working with younger kids, and probably would be more than working with the kids, more on the program building, and understanding how to run a youth sports program on the management side.
Thank you very much, I appreciate you.
Thank you guys for having me. Anybody have any questions? I'll be here for about 10 minutes. Thank you guys.